Have you ever wondered what happens when you stop looking for someone? What feelings do our actions arouse in them? Did you know that stopping looking can change the entire dynamic of your relationship? Today we will look at the powerful Stoic tool of absence. We will see how by moving away, we can make others realize the void we leave behind and consequently reevaluate our value. Stoic philosophy offers us a wide range of tools to navigate the complexities of human relationships. One of these tools, and one that is particularly powerful, is the strategy of stepping back. By removing ourselves from a situation, we allow the other person to fully experience the absence of our presence. This strategic pause can generate a profound emotional impact, leading the other person to value our company more and recognize the void we leave. At first, they may feel confused. They are used to your attention, your messages, your presence. Stopping looking for them disconcerts them and makes them wonder what is going on. This tactic is not only useful in the interpersonal realm, but can also be applied to other areas of our lives. By creating physical or emotional distance, we can gain new perspective on our circumstances and make wiser decisions. In addition, this strategy can strengthen our self-esteem and prove to ourselves our own worth. It is important to note that the intention behind this strategy is not to manipulate others, but rather to set healthy boundaries and communicate our needs in an assertive manner. By strategically withdrawing, we are sending a clear message about what we are willing to tolerate and what we expect from relationships. It's not about playing around. Your actions speak louder than your words. Show your worth through what you do, not just what you say. As the wise Marcus Aurelius once said, absence makes people feel drawn to you. So today we're not just talking about taking a step back. We're talking about taking back your power with an intensity that leaves an unforgettable mark. Visualize the immense energy it takes to shift your focus away from everything around you and fully immerse yourself in your own personal development. It's like climbing a mountain, where each step represents a conscious effort. In this solitary climb, your own growth will rise above the noise, and your silence will speak for itself. It's not just about leaving, but about evolving into a superior version of yourself, so captivating and magnetic that your absence is perceived as an irreparable loss. This isn't just about making them feel your absence. It's about transforming yourself into someone so resilient that they can't help but feel the void you've left behind. The goal is not just to provoke a reaction, but to generate a deep and lasting change in the people around you. The principles we dive into today will be our compass, guiding us toward a destiny of greatness. By aligning ourselves with these principles, we become people worthy of respect and admiration. Our absence will be an opportunity for others to recognize the lasting impact we have had on their lives. We will be someone who is deeply missed, not because they disappeared, but because they have grown more powerful in their absence. This is your moment to stand up and show them that your value is immense. It's time to show the world and yourself that you are stepping up in a way that will make them feel your absence like never before. Imagine that you are the king star in someone else's life. Your presence is the light that guides their steps, the warmth that melts their worries, and the energy that drives their dreams. Now imagine the cloudy sky, the absence of the sun. Life becomes grey, cold, and discouraging. Without your light, the world loses its shine, and joy fades away. Your warmth that was once taken for granted is now a distant memory, and the absence is felt more deeply with each passing day. What do you think happens next? Do they just move on, or do they start to realize the value of what they've lost? Now consider someone in your life who used to be an important part of your daily routine, maybe a friend, a partner, or a colleague. Think about how often you used to interact with them. The little messages, the phone calls, the chance encounters. Now imagine that suddenly those interactions stop, not because of a disagreement, but because you decided to take a step back and focus on yourself. How do you think they would feel? What would be going through their mind as the days go by and the usual conversations don't happen? Would they miss you? Would they start to wonder where you've gone? Why have you been quiet? Now you might wonder, if someone walks away and becomes absent, isn't there a chance that they will forget about me completely? Won't my absence just drive them further away? This is a common concern, but it's important to understand that this strategy isn't about disappearing completely. It's not about disappearing from their life to the point where they move on without a second thought. Instead, it's about creating a subtle but powerful shift in the dynamics of your relationship. By taking a step back, you're not completely eliminating them. You're creating space for them to reflect, notice, and feel the impact of your absence. It's not about being absent forever. It's about making your presence felt more strongly by taking a step back, just enough to allow them to understand what life is like without you. Think of it like a beautiful painting. Sometimes taking a step back allows you to see the bigger picture and appreciate your true worth. When you stop looking for someone, when you withdraw your attention, something profound happens. The dynamic changes. The way they perceive you begins to change, and in that change, they begin to feel the weight of your absence perhaps more intensely than you could ever have imagined. Think about the last time you lost something valuable, perhaps a favorite piece of jewelry or a treasured keepsake. Remember the pain of loss, the regret of not appreciating it more when it was in your possession. This is the same feeling that begins to take over the minds of those who took your presence for granted. The difference with that lost object is that you have the power to choose when you re-enter their lives. Take a moment to reflect on your own experiences. Think about the times when someone's absence made you realize their true value. What emotions did you experience? What thoughts persisted in your mind? Hold on to those feelings because they are the key to understanding what happens on the other side when you decide to take a step back. Now let's unravel the 10 powerful emotions they experience when you stop looking for them. Number 1. The shock of silence. Let's dive into the first thing that might hit them when you suddenly become absent: the shock of silence. Picture this scenario. You've always been there, the reliable one, the person who texts first, who makes the plans, who checks in just to see how their day is going. But one day you decide to take a step back. You don't send that morning text. You don't initiate plans, and suddenly there's a noticeable silence. It's like walking into a room where the music has just stopped. There's an immediate feeling that something is missing. Although this silence isn't just about the absence of your messages or your presence. It's a deeper kind of shock that happens when someone realizes that the rhythm of their day, the comfort of knowing you're there, has suddenly changed. They may not have consciously acknowledged it before, but your presence was a constant, like background music they had come to rely on. Even if you hadn't appreciated it before, this is where the shock really comes. They start to wonder what happened. Why isn't he communicating? Did I do something wrong? This sudden change takes them by surprise, and it is this alteration of the norm that begins to make them question things. The silence becomes strong, almost defensive, and in that quiet space, they begin to feel the impact of your absence. It is important to remember what the famous Muslim poet Muhammad Rumi once said: "The more silent you become, the more you are able to listen." In this case, the quieter you are, the more they begin to hear the echo of your absence in their lives. They might have taken your presence for granted, assuming you would always be there, but now that you've taken a step back, they're forced to confront what life is like without you. Now you might be thinking, but what if they don't care? What if my presence wasn't that meaningful to them? This is a valid concern, and these are questions that many of us are asking ourselves. But here's the answer. If your departure doesn't make the slightest impact on someone's life, it's a clear indication that the connection you thought you had been as deep as you thought. It may be painful to admit, but this painful truth gives you the clarity you need to move forward and focus on more authentic relationships. When our absence goes unnoticed, it is a call to introspection. It forces us to question the true nature of our relationships. Finding out that you're not as important to someone as you thought can be disappointing, but it's also an opportunity to grow and learn. Imagine you are at a concert, a symphony orchestra. If a violin stops playing in the middle of a piece, the harmony becomes unbalanced and the piece loses its richness. If, on the other hand, the music continues without any alteration, it is clear that the violin was not essential to the melody. Just like an instrument in an orchestra, each element in our life has a role and a relative importance. The same goes for relationships. If your absence doesn't make a difference, then maybe you weren't playing the role you thought you were, and that's okay, because it allows you to move forward with a clearer understanding of where you really are. If our absence goes unnoticed, we may not have cultivated as deep a connection as we thought. This gives us the opportunity to reevaluate our bonds and strengthen those that really matter. However, in most cases, the impact of silence makes a difference. It shakes things up, forces them to confront their feelings, and often leads to a deeper appreciation of the role you played in their life. They realize that your presence was more than a convenience. It was a source of comfort, stability, and connection. And as they sit with that realization, they will find that your absence will begin to speak for you, echoing in their thoughts and making them realize how much they miss having you around. This shock of silence can be a powerful wake-up call for them and is the first step in changing the dynamics of your relationship. It's a time when they're forced to take stock, to reflect on what they had and realize that maybe, just maybe, they took you for granted. And in that realization, the seeds of longing and appreciation begin to grow. Number 2, understanding your worth. Picture this. After the initial shock of your silence sets in, they begin to adjust to the new normal. But as the days go by, something starts to tear at them, a subtle but persistent feeling that something important is missing. It's not just about the absence of your texts or your calls, it's about the absence of you, your energy, your support, your unique way of making their day a little brighter. This is where the understanding of your value starts to kick in. In the hustle and bustle of everyday life, it's easy to take people for granted, especially those who are always there, always giving. But when you suddenly take a step back, when you're no longer pouring your energy into the relationship, they start to notice the void you've left. It's like removing a key piece from a puzzle. Suddenly the picture no longer seems complete. You begin to realize how much you contributed, not just in big, obvious ways, but in the small, everyday things that made their life richer. As the days go by, they may find themselves missing the way you listened, the advice you offered, the laughter you shared. They begin to see that your presence was not just background noise in their life, it was a melody that added depth and meaning to their days, and now that melody has been left behind in an uncomfortable and absolute silence. This realization often leads to deeper reflection on their part. They begin to ask themselves questions. Why did I take him for granted? What was it about his presence that made my life better? And as they reflect, they begin to see your true value. Perhaps for the first time, they begin to understand that you weren't just filling space in their life, you were adding something meaningful, something they can't easily replace. Imagine you are in a restaurant and you ordered your favorite dish. You have eaten it so many times that you don't even think about how good it is anymore. It is just your favorite food. But one day you decide to try something new, and it's just not the same anymore. You suddenly realize how much you love that favorite dish, how much it satisfied you, how it hit the mark in a way that nothing else could. That's what happens when you take a step back. You realize that nothing else compares to what you brought into your life. This understanding of your worth isn't just a fleeting thought. It's something that can profoundly change the way they view you and the relationship. They begin to recognize that you were a constant source of positivity, support, and joy. And now that you're not there, they see the impact of your absence everywhere. In the small moments of their daily lives, in the challenges they face without your comforting words, in the laughter they miss sharing with you. As Albert Einstein once said, strive not to be successful, but to be valuable. By taking a step back, you are giving them the space to recognize your true worth. You are showing them that your presence was a gift, not something to be taken lightly. And in doing so, you are allowing them to see what they had and what they have lost. So, with this understanding, you will discover that your absence will begin to speak for you. It will speak of your value, your impact, and the irreplaceable role you played in their life. And that understanding can be powerful enough to make them want you back, to reach out and reconnect with them with a deeper appreciation for all you bring to the table. Number 3, the emptiness of your presence. The third feeling they will likely face when you are away is the emptiness of your presence. After the initial shock of your absence and the deep realization of all that you meant, comes an overwhelming feeling of emptiness. It's as if an essential part of their world has vanished, leaving a void that's impossible to fill. It's not just about missing your texts or phone calls, it's about the deep void your absence creates in their life. As they understand the magnitude of your influence and the void you have left, they realize the deep mark you have left on our lives. Your absence is a constant reminder of all that they have lost. Suddenly, all those little things you did, thoughtful gestures, the way you listened, the comfort of knowing you were always there, are conspicuously absent, and that absence feels like a huge void. Picture this. You're going through your daily routine, but now something's off. The usual text you get in the morning doesn't come through. The jokes you used to share feel empty when there's no one to laugh with. You're no longer there to talk, you're gone. Their emotional security hasn't even noticed you've left them. Now they navigate their days without the support they had grown accustomed to. This emptiness is profound because it's not just about the things you did, it's about who you are. Your presence brought a certain warmth, a sense of connection that they can't easily replace, and now in your absence they feel that emptiness more deeply than they expected. It's like walking into a room that used to be full of light and warmth, only to find it cold and dark. That emptiness is your emptiness, and it's something you can't ignore as you navigate this new reality. They may find themselves trying to fill that void, perhaps by reaching out to others or distracting themselves with other activities. But deep down they know that nothing fits into the space you occupied. Your presence was unique, and now that it's gone, there's a noticeable void in their life. This void isn't just a reminder of what they had, it's a constant push that they've lost something important, something that made their life better. As the French philosopher Voltaire once said, "The art of being happy lies in the power of extracting happiness from common things." Your presence added value to those ordinary things, and now without you, those things don't bring the same joy. So as they sit with the emptiness of your presence, you will find that your absence will begin to speak for you, reminding them daily of what is missing, of the light and warmth that is no longer there, and in that emptiness they might realize that what is missing is not just anyone. It is you. Number 4, the rise of curiosity. So let's dive into the fourth thing they might feel when you're away, the rise of curiosity. After the initial shock of silence, the realization of your worth, and the uncomfortable emptiness of your presence, something intriguing begins to happen. They become curious. This curiosity is not just about where you've been, where you went, or why you're not communicating. It's a deeper, more pressing need to understand what's going on in your world now that you're no longer a constant presence in theirs. Picture this scene. You're browsing through your phone and notice that there are no calls, messages, or notifications from you. They haven't heard from you in days. Everything seems quieter without you around. Inevitably, their minds start to wander and wonder what's going on. What are you doing? Are you okay? Are you moving on without me? This curiosity can quickly turn into fascination as they begin to wonder about all the things they don't know. They might even start checking your social media, trying to get a sense of what's going on in your life, piecing together clues to satisfy that growing curiosity. This increased curiosity is powerful because it's a sign that they're starting to see you in a new light. When you were always available, always there, they didn't need to wonder about you. They knew exactly where you were and what you were doing. But now that you've taken a step back, there's a mystery around you, a sense of intrigue that draws them in. Making them want to know more is like reading a book and suddenly realizing you don't know what's going to happen next. That uncertainty of the unknown becomes irresistible. As the philosopher Aristotle once said, "The more you know, the more you realize that you don't know." This quote perfectly captures the rise of curiosity. They begin to realize how much they took for granted, how much they didn't really know about you. And now, with your absence, they are eager to fill in those gaps, to understand what's going on. What's going on beneath the surface can be a powerful motivator. It can drive you to reach out, to try to reconnect, to rediscover who you are and what you're doing. In this process, they begin to see you not just as the person they once knew, but as someone who is constantly evolving, growing, and becoming more intriguing with each passing day. So as this curiosity grows within them, you will find that your absence will begin to speak for you in ways that will bring them closer together, even though you have taken a step back. It's a subtle yet powerful shift where the mystery of your absence becomes a magnet that draws them in, as they seek to understand the person you're becoming, someone who is more than they ever imagined. Number 5. The growth of longing. Once curiosity is aroused, something more intense emerges, a deep longing, an insatiable thirst that goes beyond a simple desire to know about you or see you. It is a connection that transcends the superficial, a search for something more meaningful. It's like a wave that grows with every minute that passes without hearing from you. The absence becomes more palpable, deeper as time goes by. It's not just your physical presence that they miss, but the unique connection you shared, the moments you lived, and the shared experiences that made you inseparable. It's like you're a ghost that inhabits every corner of their lives. A melody, a landscape, a random word, anything can transport them to a moment shared with you. Your memories are like invisible threads that weave a web around them, reminding them of your presence at every moment. These little reminders add up, creating a feeling of longing that is hard to ignore. It's not about the big moments, it's the little things, the everyday interactions that you start to miss the most. Longing is powerful because it grows in the spaces where there used to be connection. As the days go by without hearing from you, without feeling your presence, that longing intensifies. It's like trying to quench a thirst that just won't go away. They start to realize that they don't just miss having someone around, they miss you specifically in a deep and personal way. As the French writer Marcel Proust once said, "The real voyage of discovery does not help to seek new landscapes, but to have new eyes." This longing gives them a new perspective on what you meant to them. They begin to see the relationship in a different light, appreciating all the things they may have overlooked. Your absence gives them a new perspective on the relationship, allowing them to better understand their own actions. It's like they're watching a movie of their life, but with a deeper understanding of the characters. So as this longing grows within them, your absence will begin to speak for you in the form of an undeniable attraction, one that makes them long for the connection they once had with you, realizing how much they truly miss you. Number 6. The sting of regret. As curiosity deepens and the longing for you grows stronger, another powerful emotion begins to take root: regret. This isn't just a passing thought or a faint sense of what if. It's an acute and painful realization that they may have taken you for granted, that they didn't fully appreciate you when they had the chance, and that realization can hurt. Picture this. You're sitting alone, reflecting on the times you spent together. Suddenly you're hit with those moments when you offered support or made sacrifices that you didn't fully acknowledge. Maybe they ignored your concern, ignored your efforts, or just assumed you would always be there no matter what. But now in your absence, they see those moments with new eyes, and the weight of their actions or inactions begins to weigh on them. Regret often comes with a series of thoughts of, if only they had been more attentive, if only they had reciprocated your efforts, if only they had valued you as much as you deserved. These thoughts can be painful because they are tied to missed opportunities, chances to show you how much you meant to them, to build a stronger connection, or to fix problems before they became too big. This sting of regret isn't just about feeling sorry. It's about realizing that they let something valuable slip through their fingers. They begin to wonder how things could have been different if they had put more effort into nurturing the relationship instead of taking it for granted. It's a sobering realization, and often leaves them with a sense of loss that is difficult to shake. As Danish philosopher and theologian Søren Kierkegaard, considered the father of existentialism, once noted, "Repentance is a sharp sword that is not always useful, but it cuts deeply. They cannot go back and change what has been done, and that can lead to a feeling of helplessness and sadness. However, regret can also be a catalyst for change. It may prompt them to reevaluate their priorities, to recognize the importance of what they have lost, and strive to make amends if possible. The sting of regret is often what pushes them to apologize or try to rekindle what has been lost. So, as this regret takes hold, absence will begin to speak for you with a voice that says you should have appreciated them when you had the chance. It's a powerful discovery that can motivate them to reflect deeply on their actions and perhaps seek to make amends before it's too late. Number 7. The intrigue of the mystery. Let's move on to the 7th thing they might feel when you're gone, the intrigue of mystery. As your absence continues, something interesting begins to happen. They start to see you through a new lens, one shrouded in mystery. When you were always available, they knew what to expect from you, but now that you've taken a step back, you've become an enigma, and this mystery is incredibly intriguing. Imagine this. They realize that they no longer know what you are doing. You no longer share your daily thoughts, your plans, or your feelings. Suddenly, you're not as predictable as you used to be, and this unpredictability piques their curiosity even more. They start to wonder what you're doing, who you're spending time with, what new things you're exploring without them. This mystery intrigue is powerful because it changes the dynamic. Instead of you being the one who constantly reaches out and shares, you've become someone they love. They discover someone whose life they are no longer aware of. It's like when a favorite character in a story suddenly becomes more complex and multi-layered. Your absence adds depth to how they perceive you, making them want to know more. As the novelist and poet Oscar Wilde said, "The truth is seldom pure and never simple." This idea captures the essence of mystery. You have become more than the person they thought they knew. You are now someone with layers, someone with a life that continues to evolve even without them. As this sense of mystery grows, your absence will begin to speak for you in subtle but powerful ways. It will make them wonder about new dimensions of your life and draw them in with the intrigue of discovering who you have become in your absence. Number 8. The power of reflection. Let's dive into the 8th thing they might feel when you're gone, the power of reflection. After experiencing the shock of silence, growing curiosity, and the sting of regret, they inevitably come to a place of deep reflection. This isn't just a passing thought, it's a period where they start to really think about the relationship, about you, and about themselves. Your absence gives them the space to reflect on everything that has happened, what worked, what didn't, and most importantly, what they may have overlooked. Picture this. You find yourself alone with your thoughts, replaying memories of the time you spent together. You think about the conversations you had, the support you offered, and the times when you may not have been given the attention or appreciation you deserved. This reflection often brings clarity. They begin to see the relationship not just for what it was, but for what it could have been, had they invested more effort, more care, or more understanding. Reflection is a powerful tool because it allows you to see things from a different perspective. They begin to recognize their own shortcomings, times when they were too self-focused, too caught up in their own world to see how much you were contributing to theirs. It is during this period that they might realize that not only did they miss your presence, but they missed the opportunity to build something even stronger with you. This reflection can also generate a sense of self-awareness. They begin to see patterns in their behavior, perhaps recognizing that they have made similar mistakes in past relationships. It's a time of personal growth when they begin to understand that your absence is more than a temporary gap. It's an opportunity for them to learn and potentially change. As the philosopher Socrates said, "The unexamined life is not worth living." This period of reflection pushes them to examine not only their own choices, but also yours, and how those choices have impacted their relationships. It's a time of introspection that can lead to a deeper understanding of both them and you, so as you sink into this reflective state, your absence will begin to speak for you. Your absence will provoke thought, foster growth, and encourage them to truly appreciate the value of what they had. It is through reflection that they might come to realize that their life was richer with you in it, and that the lessons learned from your absence could lead to significant changes if they had the chance to reconnect with you. Number 9. The magnetism of self-sufficiency. The 10th thing they might feel when you're gone, the magnetism of self-sufficiency. As they navigate the void left by your absence, something intriguing happens. They begin to see you in a new light. You are no longer the person who was always available, always giving, always there at any time. Instead, you have become someone who is independent, self-sufficient, and strong on their own. And let me tell you, this newfound self-sufficiency is incredibly magnetic. Picture this. They see that you're not falling apart without them. In fact, you're thriving. You're pursuing your passions, engaging in activities that to them, you're suddenly no longer just the person they used to know. You're now someone who has grown, evolved, and become even more compelling in their absence. There is something inherently attractive about a person who doesn't need validation from others to feel complete. When they see you embrace your self-sufficiency, you challenge their previous perceptions about you. They might have thought you depended on them for your happiness, but now they see that you are perfectly capable of creating your own joy, regardless of whether they are in your life or not. This self-sufficiency can provoke a mix of emotions in them. On the one hand, they may feel a pang of regret for not appreciating your strength, and on the other hand, they may feel drawn to you, even more fascinated by your ability to stand up straight on your own. It's like you've become a beacon of independence, radiating confidence and self-assurance, and that's something they can't ignore. As he once said, Ralph Waldo Emerson, American philosopher and poet who led the Transcendentalism movement in the early 19th century, self-reliance is the summit of man. Your self-sufficiency isn't just about being independent, it's about embodying a level of maturity and inner strength that is undeniably attractive. They begin to see that you're not just surviving without them, you're thriving, and it makes them realize how much they underestimated your resilience and ability. This magnetism of self-sufficiency can lead them to question their own sense of self. They may begin to reflect on whether they have been too dependent on others for their own happiness, and whether they could learn a thing or two from your approach to life. Your ability to flourish independently becomes a silent reminder that true strength comes from within, and that is something they can now admire in you more than ever before. So when they witness your self-sufficiency, your absence will begin to speak for you in a way that shows your strength, resilience, and independence. It will make them realize that you are not just someone who can stand on your own, you are someone who can shine on your own, and that kind of self-reliance is not just admirable, it's magnetic. Number 10, the desire for reconnection. All these emotions we have talked about so far accumulate in a powerful desire to reconnect with you. Picture this, they've spent days, weeks, maybe even months reflecting on what they had with you and what they've lost. The more you think about it, the clearer it becomes that your absence has created a void that nothing else seems to fill. People who have known you have tried to immerse themselves in distractions that would take their thoughts away from you. But none of that compares to the connection they had with you, this discovery. It leads to an intense desire to bridge the gap and get closer and bring you back into their life. This desire to reconnect isn't just about missing the good times, it's about recognizing that their relationship with you was unique, something they can't easily replicate with someone else. They begin to understand that their life was better with you in it, that the connection they shared with you brought them a sense of fulfillment, joy, and satisfaction that they now long to experience again. This desire to reconnect is fueled by the person you have become in your absence. Not only are they attracted to the person they knew, but they were intrigued by the stronger, more confident version of you that has emerged. Your independence, resilience, and ability to thrive on your own have made you even more attractive. They now see you as someone who is not only desirable because of the past you shared, but because of the growth and transformation you have experienced since then. As you sit with this desire, you might begin to imagine what it would be like to reconnect, to rebuild the relationship on new, stronger foundations. You could imagine the conversations you could have now, the shared experiences that would be richer with the wisdom you both have gained. This desire to reconnect becomes a powerful motivator that pushes them to reach out to apologize or express what they have learned and how they have changed. As American author Francis Scott Fitzgerald once wrote, "There are all kinds of love in this world, but never the same love twice." They realized that what they had with you was special, and the possibility of rekindling that connection, of creating something new and even better, becomes an irresistible attraction. So as this desire for reconnection grows, your absence will begin to speak for you in the form of an overwhelming urge to rebuild what was lost. They will be drawn to you not just for who you were, but for who you have become, and in that desire, they will see that reconnecting with you might be the only way to fill the void your absence has left. We have reached the end of our journey, Letting go of the search for someone can be a painful process, but it can also be an opportunity to grow and find happiness. Remember that you are valuable and deserve all the good things that life has to offer you. They say that absence makes the heart grow fonder, and often we don't appreciate what we have until we lose it, even if only temporarily. By stepping back a little, we create a space that allows the other person to reflect on our importance in their life. It is in those moments of distance that feelings are heightened and the true meaning of our connection is appreciated. What do you think about this? I would love to hear your opinion. Tell us about your experiences and the results you have achieved. Thank you for joining me. If you liked this video, give us a like and subscribe so we can stay connected as we walk the path of timeless Stoic wisdom together.